Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm going to shoot this video about now that we've got to the section on trading psychology. And man, nobody likes to get into uh, this part of Forex, right? Because everybody wants to learn the technicals, everybody wants to draw the charts, everybody wants to draw their trend lines. But the thing is, trading psychology, if you can do all that stuff, but if you don't know how to harness your mind, you're going to lose. And I think anybody that's made it this far, that you're buying this training, that you've already know what it's like to get up and maybe build your account up to a few thousand or a few $100 or whatever, and then it disappear in like an hour, right? I don't know about you, but I definitely know that feeling, and it all boils down to trading psychology. So let's get into these slides. Be sure to take some notes and really start documenting yourself, right? This is going to help you big time. If you start to have a big loss or some losses in a row due to psychology, like over leveraging your account, putting too many trades in, write down what it was that went wrong, like how you went wrong, right? So trading's certainly a mind game, big time. It's pretty much the biggest mind game that I've ever encountered, and Forex will definitely test you. And it's 90% mental. You can. Some people say it's less. I'd say it's 90%. The technicals, that stuff's great, but if you can't master your mind, it's not going to work for you. So here we go. This is the calm and centered trader, right? This woman right here, she's in the zone. Nothing's really bothering her, right? She seems content. She's not freaking out looking at her computer. She can see everything clearly, right? This is the ideal. This is the ideal person we're going for. Calm, unattached, big time. I like this because this picture, she's sitting there kind of meditating, undetached from the screen, right? When really, how many times are we just like looking at a trade one single tick at a time, and it's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving, and then it's not moving, or still looking at that same position for like, an hour, driving ourselves crazy. The calm and centered trader is what we want to go for. We want to go for peace of mind. But this is hard to attain, right? So what does it look like a lot of times? How does it end up? So when things start going wrong for you, right, in your trades, I call this the first stage, the disbelief stage. Like, so you can see here, this guy, he's probably got a buy-in maybe right here. Maybe he thinks this is going to retrace, maybe on this support zone, and it starts going his way, and then boom, drops a little bit past. He's in the negative here. Looks like it's going to retrace back up, and then boom, right? How many of you guys and girls have seen this, right, and been this guy? And keep telling yourself, man, this somehow can't be happening, or it's going to turn around, or you hold your position too long. This is the first stage, and this is a hard feeling to go through, right? But let's just continue on in this progression. The anger and blame stage, right? So first we're in disbelief. So this is, just to go back, this is what we're going for, right? The calm and centered trader. But how often does it turn into the disbelief? Even if things are going good, right? You still don't believe. So even if this was turning around, even this guy maybe had a sell in, right? Still thinking it's going to turn around at some point and go against him, right? And you have to remember, write this down. Nobody is at fault but you, right? Trading is your responsibility. Please, please, please write that down. Trading is my responsibility. Nobody else's fault. If you take a signal and it doesn't go your way, it's not the person who's sending the signal's fault, right? If you're following some sort of robot or expert advisor, it's not the robot's fault. And it's certainly not the market's fault. The market's objective, right? The market has no feelings. The market doesn't care. But how many times are we this guy, right? Like, you see the crinkled pieces of paper. Maybe that was just like, that was probably from the disbelief stage, just ripping pages out. And now, of course, he's in the blame stage, right? Pissed off, gonna break his computer. It's the market's fault. It's the signal's fault. It's I didn't execute my trade fast enough. It's the broker's fault. It was supposed to hit my take profit and went the other way. And I mean, it could go on. It's the news fault for sure. That's a big one too. Happens all the time, but hey, should have prepared for the news better, right? I mean, we have to write this down, take responsibility, no matter what, for the trades. I like to say this in the chat group. If I'm sending signals, right, there's suggestions, right? But at the end of the day, if you're this guy, right, you are the guy pressing the buy button, you're pressing the sell button, you're pressing the buy limit, sell limit, buy stop, sell stop, and you're the one that presses the close. So remember that, right? Remember that, because you can't blame it on anybody else. That's not going to do you any good anyways. You're still going to be this guy, right? So the anger and blame stage, it's for real, right? And it hurts. But let's continue on with the progression. The despair and remorse phase. Sorry, I hope this isn't too graphic, but if you've been trading for longer than 2 months, 3 months, then you've experienced this. There's no doubt in my mind. And before I got to trading, right, I read about, like, in the United States with the Great Depression, right, when the stock market crashed, people were jumping out of windows, like, 30-story buildings. And before I became a trader, I remember learning about that in school and being like, oh, well, that's just insane. Why would anybody, do that? I mean, it's just, but not until I became a trader and I saw, lots of money disappear in like a second, literally, and then feeling like this, right? You can't sleep, you're sick. I mean, the thing is, though, it's not the market's fault. The market, write this down, the market is information. The market is also people. Like this graph right here, this is people buying and selling goods, currencies, stocks, whatever. And it's just being documented the way it's going. So this has nothing to do with you, right? But this has everything to do with you, the way it affects you. And this, man, this is the worst feeling in the world. It is the worst feeling. So how do we go from here, right? This is where we want to be, to this. So first of all, we want to make sure that we're using proper risk management. That's huge. I like to say in between 2 to 5%. That's kind of a standard of what your account is, standard rule of thumb. In the training, there's a couple charts that are risk management charts and graphs and Excel spreadsheets that you can fill out to give you a guide to how that works. So don't be this guy. It's not worth it. Hope that's not too graphic, but like I said, we all know this feeling, and I never want to go back there. So got to protect ourselves and know what the cycles are. Trade with a purpose. Trade with purpose. Not a purpose, but just purpose, right? And I call our group Ronin because we want to be like the samurai warrior, right? We want to be a warrior, man, straight up spiritual, psychological, and knowing philosophical keys, right? So this is a great book. I put it in here as a recommendation for you guys. I'm not sure, it may be in our library. We have a lot of reading material in there, but we need to be like samurai warriors out there, right? And be prepared for any situation. So have a plan of action. Use your proper risk, 2 to 5% of your account. Always have an exit strategy, right? Whether it's stop loss. Some people use them, some people don't. I do sometimes. I don't sometimes, right? But having an exit strategy when you know that, okay, this trade's getting closed. It's just too deep into it. That's huge. Another one is count pips, right? Don't count your profit. So instead of being like, okay, well, I have a 0.5 lot, half of a standard lot. If I get 20 pips, that's going to be $100. And then so if I have 5 positions, 20 pips at half of a standard lot, that's $500. No. So you want to count the pips, right? So if you start counting the profits, if you're like, oh man, if I have 10 positions, then I'll have $1,000. That's a quick way to over leverage your account, to lie to yourself into doing that. So remember, count pips, not profit. Write that down. And this is huge, right? Breathe, right? Breathe and let the screen go. Sometimes you just gotta have faith in your trade, right? If you're not that positive about it, that you gotta stare at your screen. Hey, I do it too. I got like 3 screens going at once. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go for a run, or I'm gonna go to the gym while this is going on, or something for my own sanity, or else you're gonna hate trading. Straight up. After a while, it just gets old staring at the screen, man. It's torture. So trade with passion, trade with purpose, and make it fun, right? Have an exit strategy, use proper risk. Like I said, there's risk management spreadsheet and stuff that's included in your training. And just write this down, and maybe write down if you're trading without a plan now, right? What's your trading plan? That's huge. You should make one, right? Just bullet points, right? I'm going to put 2 trades in a day. I'm going to try to catch 30 pips a day. I'm going to only trade London session, or I'm going to only look at the screen for 2 hours. Whatever it is, have a plan. So where are you on this chart? So this, I think we can all relate. Let me break this down, right? Here's a trend monitor, right? So this is a line graph, and a bullish trend is starting. This is where you want to buy, right? At the start of the trend. How many times do we end up putting in a position here, right? Or say we get a signal and then we're like, oh, well, I'm just going to wait to see if it is actually for real or not. Well, you end up putting a position in here, it gets into profit and then goes and then heads bearish, right? But we end up holding the position thinking it will come back, or then we close that position and then we're like, well, I'm going to put a sell. But by the time we do that, we're putting a sell in right here, and then it's coming back again the other way. So we wouldn't need to focus on our entries. We need to ask yourself who's in charge. We'll get into this later, but who's running the show? Who's putting the trade in? Is it the greedy guy? Is it the guy who's afraid that they're going to miss out? Being afraid, being a fearful trader, that's just the fastest way to lose money, to make bad decisions. So write this down. Am I trading out of fear, or am I trading out of confidence, right? So if you're putting your position in here, if you're going long right here on a bullish trend, this is it, right? This is where you want to be. But you don't want to be putting the greedy position in, or you don't want to be putting the afraid position, afraid I'm going to miss out, right? This is what's happening here. This person's afraid they're going to miss out on that trend. This person's afraid they're going to miss out on the trend. I've done this, right? It's easy to do, but if you start to become aware of where are you really in the trend too, ask yourself that. So this is a good, just to build on that last slide, be aware of the cycle you're in. Okay, so, and trading is an emotional roller coaster, straight up. Where do we start out when we start trading? Super optimistic, right? Say it's Sunday and you just can't wait to get trading again. When's that signal going to come out on Sunday, right? Man, I wish Ronin would send out a signal or whatever. Or I just want to get started. I want to get some trades in. Then we start getting impatient. Then we say, okay, so I'm impatient. I'm going to put a position in here, and it starts going my way, and I'm just super excited. I'm super stoked. And then it's hitting the top of the trend, right? And now I'm overconfident. I think it's going to keep trending upwards, right? But what really starts happening, I like this, is that successful traders recognize this as a point of maximum financial risk. So true, right? I've done this before, become super confident in my trades, and then put in huge position. That's when I put in big positions, and then that's when I lose. Straight up. It's not, if you guys have taken my signals are good, right? But I can manage to lose money in the market by pure psychology and not being able to be fully aware of the cycle I'm in, right? Not in control. Again, ask yourself, write this down, who is in control right now? So say we're hitting this trend, it starts going the other way. Denial, right? Which we saw the denial slide. Yeah, just to go back to it. The denial, the disbelief, this can't be happening. So this is the roller coaster of the graph, the anger, the despair. So here we go, denial, regret, also anger, depending on the kind of person you are. But you're still holding this position, right? You're either too greedy to let go of this, thinking it's going to come back, or too afraid. So now you're getting down here and you're afraid you're going to miss out, or you're afraid you're going to lose your money. But so while you're just screwing yourself in the head, right, trying to make these decisions, the market is not stopping. That's the thing about it. It's not going to stop. So here you get into the panic point, freaking out, panic, and say here you close your buy, right? And then you're down a couple $1,000, a couple $100, or $20, right? Whatever. It's still a bad feeling, no matter the amount of money is irrelevant. And here you are in the despair phase with the dude with the gun to his head. Because why are you so despairing? The cycle starts all over again, right? So you close your trade here in complete panic. Had you held on to your trade, it would start coming back again, right? So, or had you not become overconfident here, close your trade like a pro, straight up. It takes a lot of skill to close a trade. Write that down. It takes a lot of skill to close a trade. And then you watch this and maybe put a buy limit right here. Successful traders recognize this as the point of maximum financial opportunity, your buy limit, right? When you anticipate the market to start its cycle all over again. So be aware of the cycle you are in. So like this slide, and remember I asked you, ask yourself who's in charge, right? Is the idiot making the decisions? Who's trading, right? When entering a trade, the idiot would come up with all kinds of reasons why the trade wouldn't work, right? So that's the person that you get the signal and you're like, I don't know, I'm just going to watch, see if it plays out. And then immediately it goes 20 pips into profit. And then you put the trade in, and one, it either hits 5 pips profit, turns the other way, or just turns the other way, right? And you're saying, oh, well, it's the signal's fault or whatever, blaming it. Well, no, it's because you entered the trade too late. Because you had all kinds of reasons why the trade wouldn't work, right? When you do enter a trade, the idiot is constantly talking in your ear with every possible decision you have to make, right? So that's also with you're looking at your screen, just staring at it, right? And you know, when that's happening, it's not like your mind is at ease. It's not like you're not this chick when you're staring at your screen. Not at all. You could be that guy, right? So, but the idiot's talking. The mind is just going a million miles a minute. The price goes up a little bit, the idiot wants to sell. If price goes up a lot, the idiot wants to hold on and squeeze more profit out of it. So this is a big deal. How many of you guys have held on to a trade too long? Right? I think everybody has. I mean, if you've been doing this, it doesn't take long. You know, the thing about traders, the thing about human beings is we're pretty much all the same, right? We want more, and we want it to go our way. So if the price goes a little bit into the negative, and you know, this happens all the time in my chat group, it goes like 5 pips in the negative, and people start posting there about the drawdown or whatever. But you know, when it goes into the positive, nobody says anything because they expect it. But when price goes down, the idiot tells you to hold on because the price would come back up eventually. Holding the trade too long, right? Thinking it's going to come back too. And remember, the market, nothing's for certain. So you don't know it's going to come back. Even if you have a strategy that works majority of the time, you never know for sure. Anybody out there that says, hey, this is 100% accurate, blah, 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 is lying, right? Because nothing in the market is 100%. Straight up. The way it is now, it'll never be exactly that way again. It's completely unique. Write that down. The way the market is now, it will never be that way again, right? Just like you have a fingerprint where your fingerprint is unlike anybody else's that's ever existed and that will ever exist. The way the market is right now in this very moment, the factors that brought it there, where it's at on the price, how it got to the price, and where it's going from that price, it'll never be that way again. It's pretty cool if you think about it. So when somebody says this is 100%, that means that they're saying that they know what's going to happen in an environment that's completely unpredictable, right? You can get there based on factors, right? But you never know for sure. So you can't eliminate the idiot completely, but you can learn to deal with them with a boss-employee relationship, and I like that, right? So what am I really feeling, right? Am I happy? Am I scared? Am I angry? Am I greedy? And am I sad? You don't want to be super emotional when you're trading, right? So before you get down, sit down at your charts, sit down at your computer, know where you're at, right? I'll tell you a little story. Are my emotions running the show, right? Trading psychology, greed, fear, hope, regret. So this, it's kind of a funny story now. I went out on a date with this girl, and it didn't go well. Okay, it was just like nothing was. It just nothing was clicking, right? And so it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of let down about it, and um, so I was just like, oh well, okay, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna just get back to trading, right? So how was I feeling? I was pretty sad, right? Didn't go the way I would have liked. Kind of angry, right? Maybe just a little resentful. And as a result, I was like, well, hey, I'm a good trader. I'm going to just make like a G tonight, right? I'm going to just sit down and crush the markets, right? So what did I do? I sat down. I was feeling angry. I was feeling sad. Felt like, oh, well, hey, if I make a bunch of money in the markets, then I'll feel better, right? That's true, right? We do that. We're like, well, hey, if you make a bunch of money, it's going to make you feel better. No doubt about it. So I put in a bunch of positions on it was either GBP USD or AUD USD, or it doesn't really matter, but I put in a bunch of positions, and I'm talking like, like 10 positions, and it only went like 10 pips into drawdown, and all of a sudden, I lost like $1,200. And then talk about how I felt, right? Oh, is the idiot running the show? The idiot was running that show, right? So straight up, not to mention the date when didn't go well, right? Then I get home and start trying to trade on top of that. Idiot completely running the show. And then I lose like $1,200 in like like 10 minutes, man. Like 10 minutes. And so don't trade when you're emotional. End of story. Know where you're at. Know who's in charge. Write this down. Know where I'm at. Where am I at today? Sometimes you just got to check yourself. Where am I at today? Right? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And if you're in a fearful state, if you're in a greedy state, if you're in anything, right? Maybe it's not the best day to get in the market. Write this down. There is always another trade. And I want to point this out. Hope does not work in the market. Straight up, hope doesn't work. Right? Just write that down. Hope doesn't work. Say it to yourself. Hope doesn't work. And if you're sitting there, if you're staring at your screen, hoping that it'll go your way, I've done it. I do it. Everybody does it. And these are stuff I have to, you end up saying to yourself, it's the idiot running the show. Well, now the price has to go in my direction, right? Or the trading indicators tell me about it. How many times do we end up then blaming the trading indicators? And then this is my favorite. Lord God, I'm so good. Let the price go my way. How many of you all, I don't know, have ended up like praying? Right? You never pray for anything else in your life, but God, if this goes my way, please God, please, please help me, right? And then it goes the other way, and then you're the dude, the despair guy with the gun to your head, right? Or whatever. Well, now the price has to go in my direction. Just remember, hope doesn't work in the market. Start to see what it is you're seeing and read the market for what it's actually saying. Write that down. Read the market for what it's actually saying. Hope you're taking notes. If you're not, go through this again and go through it a couple times. Take some notes. So this is the successful trading, right? Success is an iceberg, straight up, right? You only see 10% of the iceberg. The rest is underneath the ocean. So this is success. This is what everybody sees. This is like your awesome trading system, right? Nobody knows if you develop a strategy how many losses that you go through, right? How much of the hope, how much of the despair trader, how much of the angry trader. So just maybe write down what makes up your iceberg, right? because you have your successful days if you've been doing this long enough. How does that affect you? And what goes into it, right? Write this down. What risks am I taking? Where's my focus? Am I in it? Am I in the zone, or am I distracted? What are my goals for the day, right? Is it 30 pips? Is it 50 pips? Remember, we're thinking pips, not profit. What's keeping me persistent, right? Am I overly persistent? So you don't want to just keep trying the same pair, right? It's called revenge trading, like maybe hitting stop loss and going back in, trying to get back at it, or trying to get back to what you thought was the way it was going to go, right? But are you persistent in the right way? You know, if you lose a trade, signal doesn't go your way. That's why I say, also write this down. Always trade on a demo. Even you're trading on a live account, trade on a demo next to it. You can just switch back and forth, especially if you're using MetaTrader. It's super easy. And so take note of what failed, right? And that's what the demo account is great for. How am I in massive action, right? How am I always trying to become a better trader, becoming a better human being, right? If you're a happier individual, I promise you, trading will be easier. Straight up. If you're more pleasant within yourself, trading will become more pleasant. If you're resentful, if you're hateful, if you're negative, that's why, you know, in the chat, I don't take the negativity well, because I don't have time for it in my space. And space is important. The environment you're creating for yourself while you're trading is huge. So, anyway, just keep that in mind. What am I sacrificing? What are my habits? What are my trading habits? And how much work am I actually putting in? How much am I back testing? How much am I looking over my charts? How much am I involved in the chat group, right? The more involved you get, the better you'll get, straight up. So this is a potential trader. This is self-discipline, right? It takes time to become a good trader. It doesn't happen overnight. Become self-aware, use your risk management, and know that it takes sacrifice, it takes time, it takes a lot of learning. You should be setting your goals, right? Your goal for the day, goal for your week, goal for the month. Create a trading strategy that works for you. Look, it might not be my strategy. I hope that I provide you enough information to where you can develop your own for something that works and makes sense to you, right? So analyzing and revising your goals, your strategies, and also the results at the end of the week. This stuff right here, the self-discipline, is what's going to make you a successful trader, straight up. And like I said, this slide's going to be, all the stuff's going to be available, so go through this and take notes on a notebook, right? Self-discipline, how am I self-disciplined, how am I sacrificing, and write down how you can do better. And know that anything can happen in the market. Like I said before, nothing, absolutely nothing is certain. You can have an edge, you can be on top of your game, and like have a decent idea of what's going to happen in the market, but remember, nothing is certain, straight up. If you know that, it's going to save you a lot of pain, because then you're like, then you think, well, I was supposed to go this way. It's not supposed to do anything, right? You think it's going to do something, but the market is its own entity, right? It's its own living, breathing being, straight up. So like I said, just breathe at the start so you can be that centered trader. Manage your risk. If you're using proper risk management, you're not going to be the guy with the gun to the head, right? If you take a loss, you take a loss. But there's a lot more wins than losses out there. There can be. And remember, write this down. There is always another trade, always. So just breathe. You know, don't forget when you're watching the charts, ask yourself, hey, am I actually breathing? You might be surprised at the answer. Challenge yourself, grow, and have some fun, right? Yay, this guy's jumping up at the beach. So I hope that was helpful. And just to go back, this is what we're going for. We don't want to be that guy. We want to be this calm and centered trader. So thanks so much for watching. Watch this video a couple times. There's a ton of reading material in our library, and we have some risk management trade sheets, Excel spreadsheets available for you guys. So check them out, make a plan, and thanks so much for watching this video. Hope it was helpful.